This is Thomas again for you here with Autogefühl, your #1 resource for the in-depth car reviews. Today we have the last hurrah for the current Mitsubishi Pajero or Montero, depending on the market that has been selling. Because next year we're expecting the all-new model of the Pajero. So far it is this generation here. A lot of heritage in this car. Since 1982 there has been over 3 million sales of the Pajero or Montero worldwide. And actually I think one of the words that is characterizing this car is actually really cool. In this case here today we also have reviewed before the 5-door version, also linked in the video description. Today we got the 3-door version, and it's quite an exciting concept, but because where else can you find a full-size SUV, or well, this is a classic off-roader, so a full-size off-roader combined with the size of a compact car, 4.38 meters. Quite interesting concept. We're taking a look at that one today. Very traditional for the Mitsubishi Pajero or Montero is this huge front grille, and in general a quite strong front here as a classic off-roader. Now for the recent model year 2015 there have been such minor changes, but I mean it's just that classic look that will make this car also maybe a classic car of the future. So starting with the side profile, we got 18-inch alloys here, but of course for a true off-roader massive tires on here, so you don't have to be afraid maybe hitting the pavement or something like that, because the tires are actually really protecting the alloys here. Then moving up a little bit, this is a top trim level, and they have rearranged the trim levels now, and the top trim really is called top. You have this chrome covers here for the side mirrors and a very practical side foot bar, and it's really good for getting in, and I think it also looks very cool in my opinion. So, and then if you look at the side profile of the 3-door version, it really looks different than the long 5-door version. This one here is 50 centimeters shorter, and I think it has really own look to itself. You can really hardly see any other car that is looking that way, and I think it's this kind of unique feature also speaks for this car, because well, it is still very practical inside the city. I mean, it's almost the same size as a Volkswagen Golf, but still you have this full off-road features and also this full off-road feeling when sitting inside. Well, and this of course also saves some weight. In comparison to the 5-door version of the Pajero or Montero, you have 200 kilograms less of weight. However, the total weight is still at 2.2 tons. Okay, that's still a lot. But you always have to think about this car is also very good for people who want to tow something. For example, maybe you want to transport horses or a boat or whatever, or maybe go camping. And this here is also the main difference. The 3-door version can carry to a maximum of 3 tons. And the other one, the 5-door version, is allowed for 3.5 tons. So that's the difference. If that matters for you, if you really have to tow some very heavy things, then maybe the 5-door version is better for you, but I think 3 tons in most cases will still be enough. Looking at the rear, we still got a massive replacement wheel here. You hardly find that anymore, and also, well, it's placed on the outside. This is a typical off-road style, and I think it's also nowadays rather a styling element. And there's, speaking about styling elements, there's this new cover for the wheel from serial production with the current model year that has been also renewed with this some kind of rework. By the way, if we look at the bottom here, you know, for towing and for your caravan, this is kind of the device for that, and it's also quite a nice solution. The power supply is placed right here. You can flip it down, and then there's the power supply. So they really have thought about the detailed solutions here over the years. So it's a really evolved car. You see it in, you see it everywhere. And then we also will see that in the interior soon. So let's get inside. You see the doors are actually quite slim, but there's also a reason for it. I'm going to explain you later when we're driving, so look out for that. Talking about the interior, this is also now the top trim level. The car is usually in Germany starting at 29,000 euros. That's 4,000 euros less than the 5-door version, so you also save money with the 3-door version. However, as it stands here right now, it's about 45,000 euros in the top version. Of course, you hope to get some more discount at the dealer. Then let's look at the seats. You see, actually they are not the most expensive version. You can see they're not very stable. You can see it when you just press it. But however, I was quite satisfied with the riding comfort because you have this very upright seating position here in the classical off-roader. So you're also really fine with long trips. And I mean, sometimes you have to dig deeper into your pocket to get cars that are even more comfortable. Here in the top trim level we find a lot of nice features we don't have in the lower trim level. For example, we have this shiny wood covers here in the middle console. We also have them at the bottom, for example at the bottle holders, right here. And we also find this wooden inlet in the top trim level, at the bottom and on the upside. And I think it's, first of all, just from the visual point of view, a very nice effect. And also when steering, it's just, well, some difference in steering because we have the leather steering wheel on the outside the surface. And then it just makes some, you know, it's just nice in everyday driving when you sometimes can touch on this covered wood, and sometimes here just makes a, you know, some difference in feeling when driving here. I think it's also quite neat features. We also have the wood on the inside of the doors, can't see it right now, but I can talk about the stuff where you can put things here. First of all, the middle armrest, you can flip it up, and then, for example, for your basement garage, this is actually the first hinge. It's a quite complicated system. Then there's a second hinge you can pull to move it to the front and back again, and the third hidden behind that one to open it completely, and then you can put some bigger stuff in here. There's also a power supply, 12 volt, hidden below here. Well, and actually you need this one because at the inside of the doors there's just very slim to put things in there, so not very practical here. Maybe my favorite feature is here the panoramic roof. I have it opened here right now also, so a lot of light is coming into your interior, and you see it's really huge. You almost get some convertible feeling here, so you can have a kind of half off-road convertible. That's really nice. And also the wind features are very good, so you can drive easily like 70, 80 miles an hour, or so. Well, not miles, sorry, kilometers an hour. 80 miles would be a little bit too much. And then you can still leave it open and it's actually no problem, so it's also very good. What else do we see in the interior? On both sides we got the handles here, and that is classic also for the off-road. Well, first of all, you can get in the car with it, and especially the co-driver can hold on to it when we're driving off-road and it gets really shaky. So let me turn on the ignition. And well, what do you see? First we'll move here, for example, the vents. Actually, it doesn't feel that cheap anymore. I think they have reworked that a little bit. Then controlling the temperature, that's quite easily done. And then there's this GPS unit. Maybe our Japanese viewers can tell us something about that, because for the European market they put a completely different system in there. And I think it's kind of weird, the whole system. We know that from other Mitsubishi models, it has all the basic features like the GPS and connecting your iPhone, for example, via Bluetooth and streaming the audio. But still, you know, the resolution is weird, and also controlling it, you have to search a lot of things until you find it. Just look at how the thing is styled, kind of. I think, well, it's not my favorite, but the basic functions work. For example, an extra button here for new destination. It does work, and the reaction times, well, are not the best, but you get along with it. But as a driver, it's hard to control it while driving. It's better if the co-driver does it. And up here, this is kind of the off-road instrument. For example, here we have the consumption now. I'm also going to show you the engine quite soon. 3.2 liter diesel, 200 horsepower. See, we have 10.6 liters consumption on 100 kilometers. I think for such a heavy off-roader, that's quite okay. And that's also another advantage of the 3-door version, because it consumes a little bit less than the 5-door versions. In other words, you can also switch, for example, to the range. Still got 500 kilometers left. The average speed, for example, the outside temperature, how it changed over the time, and of course off-road feature here, the height actually. And well, as we're in the flatlands here, rather, there isn't so much different in the height then, but it's also nice to have it. And for example, if you want to check the air pressure with the barometer, that's also possible here. Well, how many other cars do have that? You can also completely shut it off, but I usually leave it with the consumption. And of course, you also see the temperature in the upper right. In general, speaking of the interior, it's, well, quite evolved, I must say. It's not the most spectacular one, of course. Also, as we know from other German cars, they have a better look and feel. But, you know, it's surely one of the top Mitsubishi interiors. Of course, here in the Pajero, it's also the most expensive car they offer. But still, of course, you see, it's a rather old car. You more get this very robust off-road feeling, and you really do have to like that. You only have 3 doors, but the car is still suitable for 5 adults. And well, how does it work? At the driver's seat, you cannot really get in the back. Well, theoretically, you have to use the electric function then of the seat setup. And then you have to really wait like 10 seconds to move it all the way forward. Not really a good solution, but well, what are they thought about? You have to get in via the co-driver seat to reach the rear compartment. And actually that is quite practically done. You just pull that one up and it slides in the front almost automatically. And then, well, the opening to the rear compartment is quite huge. You see, we also have the car a little bit sideways here now, so it's even funnier to get inside. And if you have this one, this side foot panel is available with the middle trim level, not with the basic one. Starting with the middle trim level, you got that one. Here in the top trim level, it's of course also included. And that's really good for getting in the car, especially when you maybe have also transporting some elderly people. Then let's get in. You see, that's actually fairly possible. And then I have a lot of space here really, also because no middle tunnel is blocking here. Just as I was sitting here in the front, you see, I have enough knee space, that kind of space still. Also, well, there's a headroom, my hairs are touching it fairly. I still have that kind of headroom. I'm 1.86 meters and I will stay for that, I hope, for the rest of my life. And you see, well, with the panoramic roof, we lose a little bit of head space, of course, but you know, it's still enough. And so I will also go with the panoramic roof. And actually, it's very comfortable here in the rear compartment. And I can also show you some other nice details. For example, if you come here, you can flip around and side armrest. It works on both sides, also with some spots here for your beverages. That's also quite a nice solution. And then the rear seat belts, they are kind of nicely stored here, so it's really a clean solution when you do not need them. And also at the middle seat, someone can actually sit. Now, if we're here in the co-driver seat or sitting behind the co-driver, then you might wonder, how can I get out? Maybe just the driver is there, or if the co-driver is wherever. Then there's also a nice solution down here. You just push it with your foot. Well, and they really thought about that solution, and I think it's a quite nice solution, though you can easily get out. You can also use another handle here, and well, it's a little bit of sport. I think for such a small car with only 3 doors, they really have thought about it and found some nice solutions. Then we can also move on to the rear, because there are also some nice details I can tell you about. Of course, at these full off-roaders, we have the replacement wheel on the outside and on the rear, but then we cannot really open it to the top, because it will immediately flip down again, of course. Therefore, we have to open the hatch sideways, And yes, of course, it's very heavy with this wheel, but there's also a good solution because, you know, we have it a little bit sideways here, and then we can pull in, it says here push, a stopper, then it stays the way. Otherwise, it would flip back automatically. Then you might wonder, even maybe if you own a Pajero already, how can you actually remove that front cover here? How is it possible? Actually here it says it has a little symbol here, and then you can open these two covers and you can unscrew these two guys here, and then it's all possible to open it. We won't do it here today because we also do not need it. And also, for example, the emergency equipment here when you're stopping at the side of a road is also hidden here. It's also a nice and clean solution here. And by the way, another remarkable thing, you might wonder what's hidden here. First think, what the hell is this? And then you see there's some fluid inside, and actually it's to fill up the rear fluid for the wipers in the back, because you see we also have a rear wiper. It's also quite a funny thing. So, and then let's take a look at the trunk. There's a cover here. You can also just remove it, that's no problem. Then you see maybe even, well, a suitcase that is not too big could easily fit in here, even not upright, but flat. And then there are also, again, clever solutions to flip the rear seats. First of all, I can just unlash these covers here. Then I just have to press this lever, just push it forward, then we have the first step. And then it's a really easy solution because there's some hydraulic damper. I just have to flip it up without any power and the whole seat goes up. You see, we got a flat space here. It's really a nice solution. And I can do really the other thing with the other third. Look at that. And you don't even really need much power. And then you see, you almost have such a huge loading space here. And I think you don't miss the 5-door version then. So you see, you still have a compact car, but it's so versatile and so robust. I think that is maybe one of the biggest strengths here of the Pajero. The only thing is, if you want to push them down again, that's, especially when the cover is inside, that's not that practical. Let me see if I can just remove it easily. Yes, it's quite well done. So, because then you have to, as it says here, press the red button. Just put it on the ground, press the red button, and then you can, while pressing, you can flip them down again. Same here. Don't see it run out. I'm blocking myself. Pressing the red button, then you can flip them up again. So, kind of easy system. Also, not too much power needed for that. And well, that's also an advantage for buying a car that has been on the market for so long, because some people always think, oh, I have to buy the all new car just. But then maybe the first model year has some flaws they first have to fix. Sometimes it's also good to buy an evolved car where they know and where they have kind of fixed everything that has gone wrong over the time. And so I think even if the look and feel isn't the best here anymore, and you see at some points it's a rather old car, on the other hand, some solutions are just evolved and they know, okay, that works for all customers and they're satisfied with it. And I think that is also an advantage with this concept. So let's close the hatch without letting it flip down. So let's take a look under the hood. As I've told you already, 3.3 liters of capacity. It's a common rail diesel, 200 horsepower. And well, there's just this one engine available. You see, it's really massive and it's a rather classical diesel, but it is said to be very durable. And maybe one of the Pajero or Montero customers that are among our viewers maybe can say something about that. Maybe post your experience and tell us how reliable or not your Pajero or Montero is. I'm looking forward to these comments, of course. Well, and I think the power is way enough for this kind of vehicle. I never lacked any power because also you do not race with the Pajero Montero, but it has to have a lot of power if you put 3.5 tons behind that car. then you of course want to still move something, and of course also for off-road riding when you're going up a steep hill. But I think it's just the right engine for that car. So about driving the Mitsubishi Pajero or Montero, actually I mentioned it before on the interior presentation, you have this upright seating position that makes a really comfortable ride. Also the suspension is very soft as we used from off-roaders. Of course it's not the newest suspension, it means well, you're shaking a little bit. That's a kind of funny feeling when you're going left and right, and also when you're pushing the brakes, it's always like, you know, you're going a little bit soft front and the back. It's really a lot of fun while driving that car, but you have to think about 2.2 tons and not like the most modern braking system. So you really have to hammer the brakes that you really get an effect and you reduce speed, and that can be, well, you have to think about it, you know. You shouldn't go too fast with the car. You really have to foresee what's happening, because if you push the brakes, it really takes a lot of time until the car is reducing the speed. So hammer the brakes in case of emergency. About the acceleration, I think you shouldn't need more. Of course, you hear the rather old diesel, just this typical diesel sound. And also the sound isolation, as soon as you're going above 80, 90 kilometers an hour, it gets really noisy here in that car. And you see there's also this kind of very steep front screen that kills a lot of insects on the motorway, and of course it's not the best one for the wind noise, of course, as well. In other words, what is very good is also the panoramic roof. I mentioned it before when driving, and now so relaxed, almost like a convertible feeling. A really nice feature. The steering, you have to turn a lot actually. You've maybe seen it now in this kind of, well, almost 180 corner. That's also not very good for everyday driving, I must admit. For off-road it maybe can be useful because you really can steer some quite nuances then. But in general, usually I would expect that you have a little bit more electronic support nowadays with the steering wheel. See, not really a sharp corner, I almost have to go all the way around. That can be better maybe with the next Pajero then. But still, I think, well, you can't expect most of the modern car features you find with the other modern cars, you know. But you still have this very fun off-road driving experience, even if you're just driving on the street. So overall, it leaves a positive impression, even if the basic systems can meanwhile need some improvement because, well, the car has some years in it on its belt. That one is an example, by the way, just some bump in the road and then you're really shaking around very softly. However, if you're going fast and then there's a bump, this rather old suspension gets really rough and when there's some short bumps in the screen. But if they are kind of huge and the car has time to shake around, that's pretty fun. By the way, here in the top equipment we also have the rear view camera. You see it's almost for the full screen. There have been better resolutions and it's kind of optimized that you see the close proximity to the rear of the car. Good for parking in. For driving backwards in general, not that good. I would like that the camera is a little bit flipped upwards so I can not really see what's in the distance there. But always good to have it, even with the 3-door version here. So let's now go off-road ride, because this is one of the main features here of the Pajero Montero, be it the 3-door or the 5-door version. First of all, this is the automatic gear shifter here, park, rear, neutral and D. And then we have the special off-road gears here. And for example, this is just the 4-wheel drive, the normal 4-wheel drive. If I press it and hold down, this would be 2-wheel drive. But actually, well, who needs that? Actually, it doesn't save too much fuel as well. Just leave it in 4-wheel drive. Then, one step further, it says 4HLC. This is still, of course, in four-wheel drive, but here we got the differential lock, and that is the center differential that is locked. And then we got another differential lock, and this one here is actually for the rear differential. See here, this rear differential lock. Then I have to put the car in neutral, that the next one is affected, because this one here is the off-road gear reduction. And that is really for some steep uphill driving, that you have this additional off-road wheel. You cannot go fast speed then, so it's really for the slow off-road riding and you have even more torque. So then let's start our off-road ride. By the way, I've talked about the slim doors before. Here we got an advantage. If I want to see what's left behind me, I can just lean outside the window pretty much and easily, and I can really see what's behind my wheel to check what is really there. That's good for off-road driving, for example, and also good, for example, if you go inside your basement garage or something like that, then you can really see if they don't hit the pavement. Of course, when we go off-road riding, we should always close the window, that, for example, nothing from some tree can come inside here and hit my head or something like that. Then the steering wheel, you shouldn't put your thumbs inside the steering wheel, as they could be ripped off when something on the ground is, you see, turning the steering wheel. Actually, I'm just in the normal four-wheel drive mode, because, well, we do not go up a steep hill, and I also don't need the differential locks, because we only got a soft off-road track here, and the Pajero or the Montero is capable of so much going off-road, you can hardly imagine that. So this one is rather soft off-road, even if it already looks rough to a lot of people. So I'm just staying in this four-wheel drive mode now, and it's, well, actually no problem. And going off-road is so much fun with the Pajero, because it's so comfortable really, even if there's so much difference in the ground clearance, for example, and you got some deep hard ruts. It really stays comfortable here in the interior, and so off-road riding is so much fun here. Well, so there we went down the hill, and now we're also going to take some looks from the outer when we're going up the hill again, because that always looks even more awesome. So if you want the true off-roader, I think maybe it's still one of the best picks, because the Pajero is really so robust. So let me conclude about the Mitsubishi Pajero or Montero 3-door version. Actually, be it 3-door or 5-door, for me the Pajero is still one of the off-road kings. It's so much fun to go off-road with it, and even still so comfortable. So this is really one of the most unique features this car has. Especially now as a 3-door version, well, less weight, less consumption, more practical inside the city actually, very compact size here, and well, that actually makes a lot of fun also in the city. For example, all is quite easier to park the car, and also the turning circle, of course, is less. So that really makes sense in, well, just nowadays. And at the same time, this car also has just 3 doors, still remains so versatile with the solutions I've shown you for getting people in the back, also for flipping the seats in the rear compartment. That's also some kind of nice features. Yes, it's not the most modern car anymore. A lot of noise inside when you're going over 80 kilometers an hour, for example. Also the interior styling is just rather simple, robust one. And well, but of course you also do not pay too much money in comparison to other huge off-road or huge SUV cars there, Mitsubishi still offers a good price for the off-road features and for the overall size and the comfort the car offers. So I think between these ones everything moves around, and I also want to hear your opinion on the car, and maybe also you're an owner of the Pajero or Montero or even think about owning one in the future. And I think this review will be the last one of our current Pajero or Montero model year reviews, and well, the next one hopefully will then be with the all new generation. This will be very exciting in my opinion. So if you haven't done so far, as I told you already, also check the 5-door review. And we have one from another off-road circuit, also with the Pajero, so second video. This was also pretty exciting because it was a pretty cool off-road circuit. So also check out that one. Thank you again for watching, guys. And I'll see you at the next Autogefühl episode here with Thomas for another in-depth car review.